there's a category of men that like to bodybuilder women, and now that's who I am.
Rob, I'm gonna kindly stop here now.
Dude.
A lot of things need to change.
Yeah, you can definitely say that again. A lot of things do need to change. And what this therapist sees here is just the tip of the iceberg. So given that they're seeking professional help, will today finally be the day where they address their very real issues? Or, as seems much more likely, is Rob just gonna hijack the session and make it all about himself?
It's not a conversation.
You're interrupting me?
I'm not like this porn-addicted bodybuilder fetish guy. Like, what? That's not who I am.
Look, whatever floats Rob's boat, or anyone else's for that matter, I'm not here to judge. But the real issue at hand here isn't about female bodybuilders, but rather whether or not Rob has a porn addiction. Why he can't seem to help himself, constantly, repeatedly cheating on Sophie. So before we dive into that, let's just rewind to the start. So the last we saw the pair, Sophie was convinced that Rob had a secret second phone. But despite searching for it, she hasn't been able to locate it. And she's also chosen not to raise the issue with Rob. So why is that?
I have a lot of pent-up resentment and negative feelings towards Rob because of everything he's put me through and the trust issues, and we do need to talk about them. But I'm also very nervous about how that might go.
It's hardly a surprise that Sophie has developed trust issues after all that Rob's put her through. I mean, the guy's behaviour is terrible. Like, if you've looked at the headlines recently, then you'll probably be aware of all the drama that's been going on off screen. Like, Sophie's own mum has completely ruined her relationship with her daughter in a desperate attempt to show the world how bad she thinks Rob is. Claire shared videos of Sophie that she claimed proved that Rob was being abusive. Now, in one of the videos, Rob is seen threatening to smash Sophie's phone. And there's another video in which Sophie is seen hiding in a closet, shaking in fear.
I can take it or I can break it. Keep playing with me. Keep playing with me. The more you off our relationship, the worse it's gonna be when you finally come home. You're gonna have to eat some You are the toxicity in the relationship. Because if I was an asshole nigga, I'd be whooping your ass right now telling you you ain't going nowhere, my wife.
Now, for as damning as these videos look, Sophie has come out in Rob's defence. In fact, she claimed it's her mum that had her scared and shaking in the closet. But we'll come back to that in a second. Now, the key thing to take away from this is all of this drama is a lot. There's clearly some very worrying things going on behind the scenes. But as far as the show is concerned, as far as this episode is concerned, we still need answers about whether or not Rob's cheated. Does he really have a second phone?
I looked for the whole phone again after Rob went to bed last night. I checked everywhere in the house, it wasn't there, so then I checked his car and I just didn't find it.
Now, Sophie says she doesn't want to start a fight about a phone she isn't even sure exists. Sure, her mum might be convinced it exists, her mum might be in her ear telling her to look harder, but Sophie clearly isn't as sure. Or at the very least, she's far more willing to give Rob the benefit of the doubt. So when we join them at their couples therapy session, the therapist wants them to start at the beginning.
He's like 32, I'm 24.
I'm 33.
You're 33?
Mm-hmm.
You're 33? I thought you were 32.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, didn't mean to make that big.
Look, Rob's a f***ing knob, right? Those IG videos prove it without a doubt. But doesn't it say a lot about their marriage that Sophie doesn't even know how old her husband is? She seems genuinely shocked that he's older than she thinks, and although she laughs it off, Rob's pride has been hurt. Deep down, he's now left thinking that his wife doesn't really know him, doesn't care that much about him.
It's one of those things that makes you feel like the other person just doesn't quite care about you if they don't remember your own age.
Yeah, my bad.
I'm not going to hold it against her. I'm just going to chalk it up to I just look younger.
Sure, Rob, if that's what it's going to take to get over it, then yeah, sure, do what you got to do. But what I find interesting here is even after Rob explained how hurtful that was, all Sophie could say was, yeah, my bad. Now, perhaps sensing the gigantic gigantic job ahead of her, the therapist moves on, and she asks the pair what they'd like to change about their relationship. And Sophie starts off by talking about her trust issues.
Like, he's never physically cheated on me, but it was online. And so I think that's also, like, affected our intimacy as well.
It's typical that Sophie would bring up the online cheating.
Rob rolls his eyes. It's as if he can't stand the fact that his wife is bringing up his cheating at their therapy session. Yeah, sorry, Rob, but what the did you think was going to happen? Like, what does he think is the basis for most of their problems? Why does he think Sophie doesn't trust him? If he's acting this moody and petulant at just mentioning the issue, then good luck actually trying to solve it. But unfortunately for him, Sophie isn't willing to stop there. She's ready to spill all the tea.
Like, I have a mental block of, like, what if he's thinking about the girls online? And so I don't really want to be physical with him. And then he wants me to, like, dress up every time I have sex.
Sophie's reaction here is totally understandable. I mean, there will come a point in time, if your partner constantly wants you to dress up, where you're gonna question whether he actually likes you when you're not dressed up. It's natural for her to be questioning, is he trying to change me? Is he trying to get me to be more like those videos he's soliciting online? But hearing the way that his wife is talking, Rob is keen to set the record straight. He wants it to be known it's not how Sophie's painting it out to be. It's not that weird, he says.
It's about, that's for me. It's just about my wife looking sexy as hell. She did that for me, like, 'cause she knows I like it.
Isn't that interesting? So what Rob's saying is his sexual desires in the bedroom seem to stem from the urge for validation. He wants his wife to validate him, and that's hardly a surprise given that Sophie can't even remember how old he is. Now, he also points out that Sophie has only ever dressed up once for him. That's very different to how Sophie made it appear. But while Sophie may have a habit of dramatising reality, Rob does have some very interesting tastes.
I think she would really rock Velma from Scooby-Doo. Is it Velma? Which one is the one in the orange? Velma. That's Velma. Yeah, Velma's ass is cute.
Now, the truth is, Rob's fetish for the Scooby-Doo gang is neither here nor there. The real issue is their lack of intimacy, and Sophie explains to the therapist that after she saw the way that Rob interacted with the online women, after she saw him complimenting them and begging them for more, she retracted physically. It really affected her self-esteem, she says.
And it hurt, like, my view on myself. The types of women that you do look online, like, they don't look like me, like muscular, fitness, bodybuilder women. I don't look like that.
Now, Sophie explains that seeing the kinds of videos that Rob solicits, seeing how very different those women's body types are to her own, has led her to develop self-esteem issues. It's led her to not be intimate with him anymore. But as the therapist moves her focus to Rob, it's immediately clear that something has visibly upset him. He's riled up.
You make me sound so crazy. You make me look so wild.
It's not crazy to, like, fit, like, muscular
Fitness
women.
chicks is one thing. Bodybuilder women? That is literally like some fetish deviant ass.
Remember how I said Sophie has a tendency to over-dramatise things? Well, it looks like she's also taken some liberties here. She's made it sound like what Rob's into is a lot more radical than it really is. Like, there's a big difference between, the fitness Instagram type girls versus the muscular bodybuilding type girls. Like it or not, and we'll touch upon that in a second, but which of those two camps he prefers will have a difference on how Rob is viewed.
There's a category of men that like to bodybuilder women, and now that's who I am.
Rob, I'm gonna kindly stop you
Damn,
now.
dude.
A lot of things need to change.
I think Rob's insecurities are coming to play here. Perhaps he's worried at the inference, the thought that people will think he likes more masculine looking girls. That's not what I like. That's not what I like, he keeps desperately trying to tell everyone. You can really sense his fear that people are going to wrongly mislabel him. And it's almost as if he's shouting from the rooftops, trying to set the record straight.
It's not a conversation.
You're interrupting me.
I'm not like this porn-addicted bodybuilder fetish guy. Like, what? That's not who I am.
Ah yes, the theory that Rob has a porn addiction. Now, remind me, who came up with that theory again? Oh yeah, that's right, it was Sophie's mum, Claire. This might be a good time to return back to what's going on in real life. So, while on the show at least, mother and daughter have made this big song and dance about how strong their relationship now is, the reality, unfortunately, at least now, is very different. You see, after Claire leaked those personal videos of Sophie, things have got very out of hand. Claire was apparently arrested on misdemeanor terrorist threat charges. She allegedly threatened both Sophie's and her own life out of fear that Sophie would post her own revenge videos about her mum. Now, in light of all this drama, Rob's friend Tori has come out to speak to the media. And he's claimed that Rob and Sophie apparently no longer live with one another, with Rob supposedly even teasing a new girlfriend on his Instagram. Yeah, honestly, with the way that this therapy session is going, that really doesn't come as a surprise.
It's frustrating when he's the one that hurt me. And then now, this shouldn't be a, argument. He should be, I'm sorry, what can I do?
These two are completely off track, and the therapist tries to get them back on. She asks them both to just be honest. So what's the truth about the whole bodybuilding saga? Well, eventually, Sophie clarifies what she meant, which is that the girls she saw weren't bodybuilders, they were just fitter than her. Now, this admission also leads to Rob apologising. He says he was triggered by what she said, but he goes on to say he really wants her to open up to him about the whole issue.
I'm comparing myself to girls you look at online, and then it makes me insecure. And then when I'm insecure, I'm mad at you.
Sophie explains that what she's looking for from Rob is reassurance. All the talk of cheating, every time she brings that up, she says, is because she's after reassurance from him. She just wants her husband to tell her she is what he wants. Isn't that sad? Isn't it sad that Sophie's after reassurance, Rob's after validation, but neither can see past their own noses and give it to each other? They're both after the same thing. Now, Sophie says that after being made to feel like she's not good enough over and over again, after growing up with a mother who struggled with addiction, after having to put up with how Rob's treated her, what she really wants, what she needs, is someone who'll make her feel special.
Reassure me that you think I'm beautiful or I'm everything that you want. And I feel you never tell me things like that.
Rob's first instinct is to deny that, but eventually he does acknowledge that their lack of intimacy has probably contributed to the compliments not feeling natural. It's a catch-22. Sophie needs the reassurance in order to feel comfortable enough to be intimate with Rob, and Rob needs the intimacy in order to be inspired enough to give a compliment. One of them has to give, and Sophie tells Rob that he can try right here and now.
You have beautiful lips. I love your eyes. You have a gorgeous body. You make me warm inside. I really just want to take you home and do some things to you. It's this is mine.
Sophie immediately starts to smile and nod. Whatever Rob's doing, it's 100% working for her. We've seen it before. It really doesn't take much of an effort to make Sophie really happy. And she goes on to tell Rob that even just those few words have already made her like him more than she previously did. Yeah, it's a little bit ouch, but at least she is being honest.
Was that difficult for you?
Yeah, a little bit.
It was difficult?
I think those things, but I don't say those things.
Do you like to hear that?
Yes.
The therapist tells Rob that this is what's called being intentional. Sure, the compliments might not come naturally, but now that he knows this is what will put that kind of smile on his wife's face, he should intentionally compliment her. Now, Rob takes this advice to heart, and he makes a promise that he will say whatever comes to mind from now on. And because it's Rob, he immediately tries it with his own unique twist.
When you walk out of the bathroom, booty bouncing, I'm gonna be like, damn, you got the beautiful fat ass. Love that ass. Like, that's how it's gonna sound. I don't know what you want me to say.
Right, so at least Rob gets the gist of what's required from him. So what about Sophie? What's she taken from this therapy session? Well, she promises that she's going to dress up like a bunny. And for as silly as it might sound, that is a big step for her. She's gone from being weirded out by Rob's requests, laughing at them with her friends, to now seemingly understanding why it is that he's asking for those things from her.
This is all I ever even wanted from Rob. Like, even though he's struggling, it's still, me seeing that he's really trying to make me happy or make me smile.
The therapist, quite rightly, seems really pleased with the progress that she's made with these two today. And they decide to end on a high, with both of them walking away with a better understanding of each other, with new information and new tools for dealing with each other. The therapist encourages them to end the session in an intimate way.
Can I kiss you?
Yeah, you can.
Rob's learnt quickly, say what's on your mind, especially if it makes Sophie feel loved and wanted. Now, unfortunately, we know that love, those compliments, just wasn't enough. Sadly, bunny outfits, compliments and all the dirty talk in the world just aren't enough to overcome all the dysfunction surrounding Sophie, her mother and Rob. So despite them finally, for a change, finding some kind of good place, the best place for these two is definitely apart.